Hello everyone, and today we are going to be looking at our IDE, Visual Studio Code. So what is an IDE? Well, an IDE stands for an Integrated Development Environment, okay? So the thing that you've been using, Repl.it, is an online development environment, so you can, code online on the go, and it has integrated features built into it. But the problem is you can't do a lot of things. For example, even though Repl.it has support for GUIs, so what are GUIs? They're like the 2D games, like the applications that pop up, kind of like Minecraft or Fortnite or any of those games, right? They pop up when you click on them, when you click on the launcher. So in the same way, we're going to be creating games like that, but the problem is you can't open up games from online. So you're going to have to actually download a local coding environment so that you can run these games, okay? And Visual Studio also has a lot of power compared to Repl.it because you can, again, you do multiple languages similar to Repl.it, but it also has a lot of intelligent support for it. It has debugging. It has a lot of features that Repl.it does not, even though Repl.it is powerful in its own right. And that's why I've been using it, because it's very easy to use and it's powerful. But Visual Studio Code is even more powerful. Okay, so let's get right into it. For those of you who know already how to download things, the timestamp for when I'm talking about Visual Studio practices will be right now. Okay, so let's get started. First, I'm going to install it for Windows 10. It'll be the same for Mac as well. And I don't think any of you have a Linux. If you have a Linux or something, you can use this. So I'm going to install this. Right? It's going to tell you a lot of documentation and stuff. So don't worry about this part yet. I'm going to get to that. As you can see, it's going to be downloading right now. I'll let you know when it's done. Okay, so we're done. Let's open this up. And remember, if you don't know how to do this, you can skip to the timestamp. But I'm just showing this for people who have never done this before. So you want to accept the terms of agreements. You know, no one really reads this. Next. And then you want to make sure that... So this is where it's going to be installed. So if you have any problems... for now, don't worry about this actually. But just know that this is where your application is installed. So if you have any problems, you can go over here and fix things. This is not important. Yes, okay, this is important. You want to create a desktop icon so you can easily open it up. And this should also be checked. This is very important. Yes, let's install. Okay, looks like it's not going to take that much time. Or I guess it is. But basically it's installing all the dependencies, and then let's launch Visual Studio Code. And there it is, Visual Studio Code. So you might see some of these errors. If you see errors, don't worry about it unless it's like a red error, then you can ask us. And then you have this Git message right here, and I will go into how to, create a Git account and use Git, but that's in a later video. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is, let's say we're creating a GUI project, a Python GUI project. Okay, so I want to go to my documents, right? And this, remember, if you watched the file system video, we want to be organized. So let's create a folder, and let's call this Python projects. Okay. Inside Python projects, we're going to create the name of our current project, which is going to be, I'm just going to say test for now. Okay. Inside test, there's nothing yet. Okay. This is the folder that we want to open in our workspace. So let's go to File, Open Folder, click on Python Projects, and then select Test and select Folder. And right now we have an empty folder, okay? Now, what can we do? Well, we can create a new Python file and call this main.py, similar to Repl.it, right? And there it is. Okay, now it tells you the Python extension is recommended for this file type. That's the thing. there's actually a Python extension that allows you to, debug and run your Python programs. It's not installed currently, so we can install it. So all you gotta do is click the install button, or you can go to extensions right here, and then right here you can see Python. You can click on Python, and then you can install this. Well, actually, while we're waiting, let me show you this like HTML support, right? There's also HTML support, including live server. Okay, so you want to also go ahead and install live server if you're doing HTML. Okay, so it's installed, right? But like I was saying, live server, you want to install this because this allows you to see your websites. Okay, let's install this as well and install that. Okay, so you can install all of these things. It'll be installing it for you. And also install live server. Live server is pretty good for websites. So if you're into HTML, install live server, right? So all of this is just clicking buttons, right? Don't worry about this. Don't worry about that. Okay, and then if you're into HTML, there also might be some HTML CSS support, as you can see right here. So you can also install that. Now we have a good bit of extensions. We have the Python extension and we have the HTML extension. So a good way to test to see if it, and then this is called a terminal. I'm not gonna go over this yet. Okay, we're gonna go over this in later videos, but for now, let's test to see if this works. Okay, so I'm gonna X out of these. Actually, these are just manuals, and let's do a simple print hello world command. Okay, and as you can see, unlike repl.it, we don't autosave. Okay, this is huge. This is huge, huge, huge. You need to save your projects. If you don't save your projects, and if you X out of Visual Studio, you are going to be in big trouble. We can't do anything about that. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to press Control S. Okay, now let's say we have multiple files. We have a main.py and we have a side.py. Okay, and we do something here, right? And then we change something here. Okay, so now we have two files that are unsaved. To save all files in your project, you want to do Control K. Okay, hear me out. Just do Control K, and then after you do Control K, press S. Okay, so Control K and then S. So one save is Control S, and then multiple saves is Control K plus S. Just making sure that you guys get that. Okay, now let's run this code and see if it works. So we want to run without debugging like this. Okay, and let's see if it works. Looks like it didn't run. Okay, so another important extension that you want to download is this Python extension, right? And I thought we already downloaded it, but it seems like we actually didn't fully download it. We had to do a reload of the system. Okay, so what you want to do is you basically want to X out of Visual Studio, and then you want to open it back up again using the start command, and it should be fine. And I think now we can run this. Let's try it. Okay, let's run, and then let's press run without debugging. Okay, looks like it did print out hello world. That's exactly what we wanted. And this is basically how you can run these types of things. Okay, so now that we've gone over Python, let's go over HTML and how to open that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just open a new folder, and I'm going to call this test HTML. Right, and then I'm going to select this test HTML folder. Okay, then inside this folder, this is the annoying thing, you're going to have to create it ourselves. So index.html, and then we're also obviously going to have a style.css. Right, so what you can do is you can copy the starter code from repl.it, or I'll just type it out right now. Okay, so this stuff is pretty obvious, I think. Okay, so I finished the starter code for the index.html. Right now we should have an h1 with hi. Okay. So this is basically how you create your HTML. You just create a new folder, you create your own, index.html style.css. And you also want to make sure you have these extensions installed. HTML CSS support and live server. Okay, these are important extensions that you want downloaded. Okay, so let's open this with live server. I want to click the right click button, right? And then look here, we want to open with the live server. So you need to do this within an HTML file. You can't do it within a style.css file. Okay, so inside index.html, let's click open with live server. And as you can see, it opens a new localhost. Localhost is basically, your own server, and you can see your website in real time. So live server is just a great feature to use when working with HTML and CSS and JavaScript. So whether you're doing JavaScript, advanced JavaScript, or Python, I recommend that you use Visual Studio Code over repl.it, but there are times when repl.it would be better than Visual Studio Code. Okay, that's it for this video. If you have any questions, please message us in the Discord. I'll see you guys in the next one.